All right, and good morning again. This is Rosemary Jane, and we are exploring Schoology for primary grades. That is preschool, kindergarten, first and second. That's going to be our primary, or our main focus in today's PD session. In Schoology for primary, I had a session that I shared earlier when we first moved to remote learning called Schoology ABCs. And so I kind of looked at today's session as going beyond the ABCs, but really focusing in on that pre-K-2 audience. I have one other resource I'll share with you in a moment, but what we're going to be doing is looking at these ABCs with our primary audience in mind. So that's step one of this agenda. Step two, we are going to just look at some things available to you in Schoology through our Tech Talk course and our Office of Curriculum and Instruction. And we're going to make sure that the basics of Schoology have not been missed by anybody in today's group. So our CPS virtual PD offerings will be explored, and just making sure that you all have got the Schoology basics down, or you at least know where to access it or where to attend next. I was in a previous meeting before this, and so I just got to close out a few tabs. I will tell you that I actually want to read this or do this one later. Google Meets work best if you do not have too many open tabs. So I like to close a lot of them out before I get started. All right, whoops. And if I close the wrong one, I can always just pop that right back open. Okay, so here we are. All right, we're looking at Schoology for primary, and we're focused on pre-K-2. And one thing that we know, if we think about young learners, and especially young learners, learning materials, books, papers they might use, even the dreaded workbook, which I actually have one here. Oops, a workbook. I know we don't like to talk about workbooks, but you know what? We all use them. The reason I have one is because I have it for my grandson, and I had it on my desk for this morning, and it looks like I let it walk away. Okay, well, I was going to hold up a workbook as an example. The point is, when we think about our children's books, and I do have a book here. We think about children's books, and we think about children's workbooks and activities. Pre-K-2, we have lots of pictures. Our pre-K-2 books are usually picture books, and anything with written language on it usually has a very large font type. So the first thing that we're going to look at in this agenda is adding images, but we're thinking about visuals for that young learner. And we also want to keep in mind visuals for that young learner's guide. So our young learners are more than likely not getting on Schoology by themselves. They have a parent at home guiding them in the experience, or when they're in the school with us, we are guiding their learning. So we still want to think of what engages them, and it's certainly visuals, and our font types. So those are two things that we're going to make sure we hit first in Schoology. Now, the reason I'm in the main landing page is this is what Schoology appears like for pretty much everybody when they log in. I am going to go into a kindergarten student parent view to show you what they see. So big thanks to Principal Jackie Roeder over at Academy of World Languages. She kind of let me co-parent, if you will, her kindergarten child, Riley. And so when I'm logged into my parent account, I can view as Riley. Now, you'll notice that the updates are the first thing that appear. Nothing here is very primary friendly yet. We're all working on improving that. But there are some things that you can do to even make the first point of interaction with your young learners more interactive, and that's adding images. So what I will show you that is helpful is that the individual who is speaking to them, so in this case, it is Jackie Roeder, the principal, has her profile image added. This is the Russian teacher. She's added hers. I've way over zoomed so you can see, but when I speak, you guys can see that I'm the one delivering the message, okay? So it's important that we add a profile image so that the individuals who are interacting with our content can see who is speaking to them. All right. So what am I going to do that? Let me first go back into my account. And all of you, every teacher in today's session, I hope before you leave, will, if you haven't already, go to your profile. So I go to the drop down arrow. I have lost my mouse. I think it's because I have two screens. One moment. Yeah, just single screen right now. There we go. All right. I hope you will all go to your profile right here. And if you have not already, you need to edit your profile picture to be a picture of your face, ideally head and shoulders. I will say this, everybody who has completed level 1 for the CPS, excuse me, excuse me. Everyone who has completed level 1 for the CPS Distinguished Educator, I think you need to add your badge to your profile picture. It's just great recognition of the work you've already done. Just a reminder that the target timeline for that program is to be completed by August 21st. So you still have plenty of time if you've not completed it. Don't worry, you're not behind. But you would just click on Edit Picture, and please do not choose one of these. They're calling them avatars, just shapes. Please don't choose one of those. Go to Attach File and put a picture of yourself as your image. All right, so you can use your CPS Educator badge or just a head and shoulders picture of yourself. But the reason we want to do that is keeping in mind our audience, our parents at home, and our students at home. We want the person who is delivering the message to be the one speaking to them. So it's helpful to have your image there. Okay. Step 2 was adding course pictures. And really, actually, this says course picture in your profile. I started with your profile. But when Riley is in Schoology or Riley's parent is guiding her through Schoology, and we're going to come back to this because I think updates with images is going to be the most powerful thing for primary. I think that's how we can really make a difference in our student and parent experience. So we're going to heavily come back to that momentarily. But right now I'm just looking at profile images and course images. If I'm Riley's parent and I click on courses, right away I can see without even needing to read the text that this is an art course. There's some paint and some colored pencils. This one, they've just added a fun GIF. That's something you can do if you choose to. Library, we've got an example of a pig with a book. So I can kind of see that there is different images to guide me to my content. Now I will say you want to carefully consider your images, and let me go to another child. This would be an older child, but consider, whoops. Huh. I'll have to look at that later. Ignore that for now. For some reason, her courses aren't appearing. But you want to consider that the course image matches the content. So for that, I'll go back to one of my practice courses. And I'm just going to go right to my homeroom. You can see that this image, the display, it actually cuts off the top. This week, I've got a note to myself. I'm going to be working on getting images like, even for example, this leadership one. Obviously, that's not a good cropping of that image. I do have a template to get better images in place. But like this one, my practice course, you can tell that I'm practicing using Schoology and Google together. The image goes right with it. There's reading specialist one. This is an adult reading with a student. That makes sense to my content. My reading course, at a glance, I can't actually tell that's books. So we want to be careful when we select our images that they make sense to our users. The default Schoology ones, this is an example of a math image. So in your courses, this would apply for kindergarten through 2nd grade. If you're in your math course, you could just select the image that Schoology gives and select a math image. To me, seeing the calculator symbols and all that immediately triggers my mind that the content is going to be math. So you can do the same thing. This could be writing maybe. This feels like history, geography. So this feels like social studies to me. This obviously looks like music, art, and so forth. But I really prefer to add my own custom images. So I would either create those or pull those images from a source that has like a Creative Commons license or is free to share. And we can get into that more if there are specific questions about that. You should have an image that you select from your computer and put that in if you want a custom one, or you can go with the Schoology content images there. That helps our students and our parents at home. Going back to that kindergartner, when I look at her courses, I've got a little bit more understanding of what's going on. These courses here, for example, math, phys ed, language arts. I have no visual differentiation on what's inside of these courses. So I've recently been learning more and more about the term empathetic design, or designing with empathy in mind, putting ourselves in the shoes or the seat of the person on the other end of the screen. I have a tweet that I shared out about it, and been reading some more research articles about it. But basically what we want to do is imagine what it's like for our user, for our student, or their parents to be navigating in our courses. Right away, if I'm a preschool, kindergarten, even first and second grade student, I have to be able to read and decode that this says language arts and know that that's where I get my reading materials, that this says phys ed and that that's where PE and gym activities take place, and that this is math where all my numbers take place. So you can see if you add images that make sense with the content, that will help the young student or even their parent engage. Now, I do have some research articles, if you're interested in those things, that do demonstrate that visuals should be used across the board, whether they are early learners all the way through adult learners. What happens in the brain, in our cognition, when we have a visual versus just text, it's a completely different experience, and visuals are an aid that should be used across grade levels, but especially for our young learners. All right, I'm back on Riley's landing page and what Riley's parent sees and what Riley sees. And we know right away at a glance that this is at best for Riley's parent to guide her through. So going back over here to this agenda, that moves us into building content. Now, I'm not just going to build content and materials as this agenda suggests. I'm going to first focus on where does Schoology take my student and my parent as soon as I log in. And we're going to actually focus next on adding visuals to your updates that are interactive. So before I go there, I'm just going to hop back over. I see nothing in the chat yet. So I hope that this is an indication, and I'm going to pause here to check. At this point, I'm going to move on in the agenda to building content. We're actually going to build content in our materials. We're going to use that content to communicate our updates with visuals. And we're going to do that so that it'll be an easier navigation experience and more engaging for our young students and their parents at home. But before I move forward, I just want to make sure, and so I'm going to give a brief moment wait time. I want to be certain that you all know how to change your profile image so that when you post an update, your young students and parents can see who is talking to them, and that you know how to change your course image. So I'm going to literally pause. And if anybody can't, go ahead and speak up now, and I'll go back and show those one more time quickly. So this is a quick, if you're doing a self-check right now, you should be able to change your profile image and change the course image to match the content. Okay, if you can change your profile image and if you can change your profile image and the course content if you can change your profile image and the course image, then you are ready to move on to the next step. So we're back here in this agenda, building content for materials. I'm adding the word updates. And I will share the agenda at the end. Because I'm enhancing a previously used agenda. So we'll see what else we get through as well. So next step, building content. I'm going to go back into my own account, outside of my parent account. And I'm going to show you in a sample course. Actually, in this case, I'm going to pull up a different course. It has a little less content in it. Ignore all my courses. I'm in a ridiculous number of courses. Here we go. All right. Remove this. Okay. All right. If I'm in one of my courses, I can add images that help the user understand either what's inside of this folder. This one was actually just added as sort of a joke during one of my other trainings. But if you've ever seen The Incredibles 2, the dad is very frustrated when he's trying to help his son with his math homework. And so I just found that meme and I thought it was funny. So me. I thought that was a funny thing to add to a folder for parent resources. So have a little bit of humor in your design too. I'm saying definitely use that meme, but I just think it's nice to add things that add humor. In this content, I have another video, so I'm not going to go into details of how to do this, but you can pull in existing templates and then you can edit or enhance, change, modify any way that you need. But these are visuals that are clickable and they appear right in line in the course. So let me add Miss Riley to my course. All right, now Riley's going to see this content. And then when I post the update, that's what I'm getting ready to show you next, we'll hop back over to the parent-student side and see what that looks like. Now, the first thing that I want to show you when you are building your content, so going back to that agenda, we're building content, materials and updates with meaningful content for pre-K-2. I want to remind everyone that your content does not all have to be built. Okay, these items here, I'm building these. These are the basically empty skeletons of these items. We can create an assignment, test or quiz, assessment. We can add a file link or external tool, add a discussion, a page, or media album. I've never played with this one, add a package. I have more learning to do on what that is. But you can also import from resources. So I went down to that last option. You can all anticipate that in the coming months, and certainly by August, we will have more materials for you. It will likely be organized by your curriculum teams and groups, but there will be more info to come. So for right now, I'm just going to go to a group where I know they do have resources, which is our early childhood group. Now, if you're not a member of the early childhood group, that's okay. That group is actually just for preschool teachers. So I'm using this as an example. You might later go to your ELA headquarters and pull over materials for your K-6 Wit and Wisdom modules. They're not there yet, but whatever groups you are in, those depend upon like what you teach. And so I'm going to early childhood now. I can click on this template folder and then I can actually just pull over this content. So I can decide if I want all of it or just like one item from it. And then I can click import and then it pulls it over to my course. Then, and I did just duplicate it. Ignore the mountains of content I've added. Then I can go into this and I can edit and change it any way that I want. So that's what this part here is about, meaningful content. You don't have to build everything yourself. Some of it is just being imported. But now what I want to do is focus on something that you can build for that update experience. So what I showed you earlier with Riley's experience, that is not built for her. It is not built for a kindergartner. So I actually make a folder in my courses called Updates Not Published. That's really just named that way for me because as the administrator of the course, only myself and any other co-admins I might add can see my unpublished content. So it's really just a reminder for me that that's where I build. I like to keep mine up at the top. Some people put it at the bottom. It doesn't really matter. If you're going to do a lot of screencasting videos and you have that unpublished folder at the top, it could be confusing to your students or parents. So it's up to you where you place it. And if you want to just change the order, you can drag and drop Schoology content. You can do it however you want. So you can either show what's inside the folder. You can see I have a whole lot of updates in here. All right, so how did I build that? Well, all I did was go to Add Materials, add a folder, name it. I call mine Updates Not Published. In some other courses that I've worked with, you might make it, if you have a one or more co-administrators, you might name that folder for admins only and then have everything unpublished in it. I like to make it the white color folder because that makes it feel sort of washed out and gray, but then I also unpublish it before I even create it. So let's look at those steps again. I added a folder. I named it whatever makes sense for me. I would encourage every one of you to have an updates not published folder in your materials section. I selected the color white because it kind of washes it out. And then I go down to availability and I changed it from published to unpublished. I hit create. Bear in mind that Schoology drops all new materials to the bottom. So there it is sitting here. If I want that folder to appear at the top, I just drag, I just click and hold and drag it up. So I have a lot of content because this is where I do sample building. So I'm not going to do that right there. I'm going to go back up to the one I already built. All right. So I've got my updates not published folder. Again, I just added a folder, named it, gave it a color, and unpublished it. I dragged it if I needed to, if I had other content. Again, if you just want it at the end, that's easy. It appears at the end, so you have nothing to do. If you want it at the top, you drag it up. All right. Then I'm going to go into my folder. Ignore what's already in here. I'm going to add materials, and the first item I'm going to add is a page. Now, this is for you to get meaningful, visual, clickable content in your updates to change that user experience for your students and parents. So, my page title is going to be Updates Not Published. I name my stuff really obvious. All right. Now I can, I don't have to unpublish it because it's automatically unpublished since it's in an unpublished folder. And now I can add my visuals. Let me show you before I do this some examples of what I add. This is a tile that I added and I shared it out to the Office of Curriculum and Instruction and LTT. This is a clickable image that will take you to a PDF. And so basically this is a menu of my YouTube channel. This one takes you to my playlist. This one takes you to the tidbit playlist for distinguished educators. And so what I did was create a PDF menu. I would like to share with you real quickly an example that a teacher did. Again, taking this Google slide, we make it into a PDF, and then we put sort of a placeholder that takes us to that. Some of you may have seen my virtual classroom. And for that, I'm gonna quickly hop to my YouTube channel. This would be a really fun way for you guys to engage your pre-K-2 audiences. So, my Distinguished Educator playlist, Teacher Talks, and it was the first one that I did. It was Clarissa Quinones. I'm sorry, Clarissa, I butcher your name every time. But if you take a look at the inside of this, she has created, and she walks us through it a little bit, but she created a slide that is a virtual classroom, and then all of the objects inside of her virtual classroom are clickable images. So this book right there that says Epic on it takes you to the Epic library book that she wants them to read that week. If you click on this calendar, it takes you to the CPS district calendar. If you click on her announcements, it'll take you right to that content. So she's created this visual clickable experience. So this is sort of like, wow, where I want to get to. I'm going to show you how to just get started with maybe one element from this. So what I'm actually going to do is let's pretend that Clarissa's video is a video that I want my students to watch, maybe on letter sounds. So I would go to the video that I want on YouTube, and then I just need a picture to be the placeholder. So when I created this, I added materials, added a page, name that page, and now I start building in the page. So I'm going to insert an image first. I want to see them. It doesn't let's pretend that instead of leveling up, instead of this being a CPS Distinguished Educator thing, maybe I have an image I use every time for our phonics activity. So substituted in the content. What I did was insert content. I picked an image. You can go from the web. Be careful because sometimes there's errors with that, but you can. I like to have a folder on my computer, but you insert the image and then you just resize it, however big or small you want it. And then you're just going to click on that image and link it to whatever content you want. So let's say I want that image to take them to this choice board, this menu. Well, all I have to do is open it up. Or no, I'm sorry, I said I was going to take it to a video. We're going to take it to this video. All I have to do is click on the video and copy the video URL. I cannot zoom that in. So it's the second option down. I right-clicked on the video.
Yeah, the best classroom that you can imagine.
Sorry. Copy video URL. And now I'm going to just paste that video URL right there and hit insert. So my message can begin with a picture. Students and families, please click on the image or link to go to this week's phonics lesson. All right, now I said click on the image or link, and I'll explain that in a moment, that anytime you're building something with an image, we are going to have to do one extra step. So now I'm just going to take that content and copy it. So I built it in a page. I can hit create. It'll drop down to the bottom. All right, now when I go over to updates, because remember the problem when I logged in as Riley was I can see an update, but I can't read it yet. I'm a kindergarten student, or I'm, maybe not a strong reader yet. So now if I go in here, I can just paste that message. The image comes over with it. Sometimes Schoology adds an extra space. I like to delete those. Okay. Now remember I said or the link. I'm going to tell you why in a moment. For right now, I'm just going to make sure I have that link. Oops. I'm going to go down here and add the link. Paste. And I'll call it this week's lesson. Make it make sense for your user. So if you're taking them to a video, call it video of this week's lesson. And I'll call it link. All right, why did I do that? I'll show you in a moment. Okay, I can also add anything else I want to this update. I've got to tell you there's big power in this microphone. If I select audio and video, here I am, I can record. Okay, so then I can start recording and right away it's recording. And then I'm adding video to my update. I get to stop it, I get to preview it. If I don't like it, I can always just exit out. It didn't do anything. So I can do that as many times as I need to. I'll try it again. Here's a video recording, but then when I've said what I need to say, stop it. I'll preview it. Let's pretend I like that one. I just hit insert. Now I've got a picture, a link to what's linked in the picture, a video recording. I can even add on, maybe there is an activity sheet that goes along with this week's phonics lesson. I can add that as well. So let's make these updates as rich as possible. But I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to show this now from Riley's parent and Riley's side of the experience. So now I'm going to go back to my parent account. Here's what's cool. Remember these updates? Okay, this one was not there before because Riley was not enrolled in that course. But they were just very text heavy. Well, now I've got a picture. So even if I'm not a reader, maybe I have a common symbol that I'm going to use for every phonics lesson. But if I have a picture right away, I can click on that picture and it takes me straight to the content. Now that content can be a video out on YouTube. That content could be inside of your course. It could be an activity you're doing in your course, a discussion board. a page that you've got maybe some multiple steps, like a menu. It could go to a PDF that's a choice board similar to what I showed you with Clarissa's. You can put whatever you want as a picture-based update, and then that way parents and students get that. Now, why did I put that as a link as well? Well, because on some mobile versions, images do not show up on updates. So you always want to add text information about what the image is and what it's for, and let them know. Like sometimes I even put a message like image not displaying, because depending upon the device, on my iPhone, on the Schoology app, it will have a placeholder where the image is and it's blank, but if I tap it, it still works. On my Android, where the image is and it's blank, it doesn't do anything. So I always put that message. If I do an image-based update, I either say, you know, click on the image or the link, because then the user can be like, well, I don't see an image, but here's a link. Or you can just put the message. I think I put it on my last Tech Talk one. Oh, I'm in my parent account. 1 second. I put it on my Tech Talk one. But I just said image not working, then click on the link below. So I gotta go back a bit to get to my last one. There it is. So I just said, you know, click on the image above to view as PDF. Can't view image, click the links below. Have a great weekend. So I'm building in these structures and supports so that my user at home can get to the content no matter what. All right, I do see a few things popping up in the chat. Yep, thanks. Oh, and that's why I have a chat moderator. Thank you so much, Angela, for taking care of that. Yes, I will share it at the end. Okay, it's 11:41, and what I covered so far, just to recap, was we added visuals. We added a profile image so that our users, our students and parents at home can see who is talking to them. We added course images so that when we click on courses, there's a visual that makes sense and takes me to my linked content. And then we added an unpublished page. We made it in a folder for adding visual clickable updates, so that the very first thing that my students and parents interact with is visual based. All right, that's building some content. I'm going to hop back over here. Communicate and connect. Those pieces all tied together. I built content in my materials as an unpublished picture-based update, but then I put that into my updates to communicate and connect with my students and parents. So that was sort of the big goal of today's primary Schoology for Primary, how we're making this work for our young learners at home and their parents. So if I look at the options of adding in something like Clarissa's, I'd really like to explore that with you a little bit more and what she did and how you can make that be a picture-based update for your students, where they sort of get a map or a guide, a visual map or guide to their whole learning experience. But there may be some specific questions I need to answer about building content, such as where did you place that? Or what if it's a math activity? So I'm going to now go back over to the chat. A virtual classroom like the one I displayed. Yes, Kimberly, I love it too. And these have become just like an online viral movement. I saw it for the first time on Twitter somewhere. And then all of a sudden, one of our Blended Learning Academy teachers, Clarissa, created her own. Next thing I knew, I actually found out other teachers in the district, a group of art teachers, were making these beautiful art-themed ones with actually slides that had visuals of works of art. And they're creating these all in Google Slides. Now, I did look at that, and they were amazing. I did look at it with the empathetic design mindset, or UDL, Universal Design for Learning. We want all learners to be able to access content at all times in the easiest way possible. So I did shift my recommendation to adding a PDF. It adds one more step for the teacher. But if you create it as a PDF that gets linked to instead of the Google slide, there's less wait time and loading. If they're using a mobile phone or a tablet like an iPad, they don't have to download Google Slides apps to be able to view it. Almost every smart device has a PDF reader installed. So I think it's a best practice to build your virtual classroom in Google Slides, then save a copy as a PDF. You also have to save a copy as an image, so you'll be working with 3 documents, but I promise you it's worth the 3 steps for what your students and parents at home get to experience. They get this smoother, ease of access way to interact with the pictures on the screen. So the one I have pulled up is my menu for my YouTube PD offerings as the example, but I'd love to go into that if that's the direction these questions want to go. And we do have 15 minutes left for the end for questions. All right, I'm going to make sure. So Kimberly, I'm going to come back to that. How to rearrange the course order. Let's hit that really quickly. That's a great question. And I believe what you're referring to is the courses as they are displayed here. And you could go ahead and unmute. And I'm very sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your first name. Abo, would you please unmute?
Yes, this is Ibo.
Ibo, okay, thank you. So are you referring to here?
The tiles, yes, that's the order. I mean.
Yep, let's fix that now. So that is a user-based setting. Your tiles that appear for you appear like a menu. It's designed with 12, and don't forget that Schoology is a pre-K to 12 platform. And so typically our students won't be enrolled in more than 12 courses. Matter of fact, if they get enrolled in more than 12, that can be a problem. But you will have to, if you have a course that is not displaying here, I'm going to go to My Courses. And I'm going to even back up one more step because I can zoom in here. All right, I can go to Courses and go all the way to the right to My Courses. It's a small blue hyperlink in the upper right. Then I get an alphabetized list of all my courses. And right now, this course is actually not showing up on my tiles, and I want it to. But what I do is go over to the far right. Under Manage Courses, there's a gray button called Reorder Courses. So again, you'll just go over to Reorder Courses, the gray button. And then what it's showing you is these first 12 courses appear in the tile list. The courses that appear below this line will not appear in the course dropdown. So the first thing I might want to do is just rearrange my courses for how I want them to appear. Now, the only thing missing here, I wish that this was displayed as a true grid, but depending on the device, it might shrink it. But the grid, you want to think of this as 1, 2, 3. So this is horizontally course 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So horizontally, this is your middle row, 4, 5, 6. And then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you could just eyeball it though. If this is a really important course, you just drag and move it around, okay? It really does not matter how you do this. I'm gonna decide though, I don't need this course to appear. It's not one I often access. So if I just drag it down below that blue line, now I can take another course from below my blue line, and I can drag it up to take that course's place. So, you know, pull your course that you want that's not displayed at all, and just drag and hold. It won't take nearly as long for you because you're definitely not enrolled in as many courses as I am. But I'm just holding and dragging this up right now. So you can take any item that appears below the blue line, and you can just drag it up to appear with your other courses. So I want this one up here. Now, keep in mind, it'll automatically drop the bottom one down. So just keep in mind which ones, when you reorder, if you pull one up from below, you might want to double check that one that you want didn't drop down. You might have to drag and drop again. So we just drag and drop, and then when we are done, we click on courses. Now it's been reordered, and that course that I wanted to access is now right there in my tiles. So My Courses, reorder courses, and drag and drop those until they're in the order you'd like them to appear. Good question. Student, you can also do that. I would guide my students in how to do that, or give parents instructions if they're at home. That's how you do that. All right, I don't see another question besides the agenda link. We did cover everything in the agenda. but I'm going to add, let me just duplicate. All right, so some extras that I didn't plan for, but we're going to do now. So we did reordering course tiles. Give me 1 second, I want to shrink this font. It's ginormous. Oops. All right, we did reordering course tiles, and next we are going to do my virtual classroom slides as updates and course menus. All right, that's going to be the next question, unless there's another question. I've got 10 minutes to cover it. I'm fairly confident I can cover that in 10 minutes. But I want to make sure there isn't another pressing question before I start. Doesn't appear so, so we're going to go into that example. First thing that I'm actually going to do for you is drop in the chat the link to Clarissa's teacher talk, because she actually shows you how to start with the bare bones of a bare Google slide. So I'm going to copy that video URL and whoops, drop it into your chat. So video on teacher talks, video on building my virtual classroom. All right, so there's the link to that video, which will show you, you can, the nice thing about having video recordings, and if you're watching this later, you can just do it now, is you can pause. Can't pause me live, but you can pause the video. So Clarissa shows you from starting with a blank slide, how she put in her background and how she added elements and even how she made those clickable. But then she hops back up to the finished product to show you how she put it all together. So for mine, I'm just going to show you on here on the Schoology, on our agenda. Okay. So I'm just going to add a new slide. Okay. And so this is the background for my slide. Now I want to start with a blank slide, so delete that. Delete. Okay. I'm going to add a new completely blank slide. Got nothing on it. I'm going to insert an image, and for this one, I'm going to do exactly what Clarissa did. I'm going to search the web, and I'm going to do background. I can't remember exactly what she, floor and wall. And so I'll make my own, pull that over. Oops, there we go. So then all she did was resize it to fit the slide. You can also crop it down if you need to, like I wanted my floor a little smaller. So I'm just resizing this image. And I'll just drag it to make sure it's fit. So you'll see Clarissa did a better job of this than I'm doing, but you can just sort of resize it. Now, you know, this does not have to be the image you use right away. I can tell you, I don't like the floor being so long. I'd want more wall. This is why it's really not good to have me leading this. But I've added this background for a floor and wall. And then I can start to insert my elements. So I'm going to insert the web. From here, she did give her tip. I'm only going to add one more element, guys, because you can watch her video. Transparent. You want to add the word transparent first, rug. And then I'll find a rug that I like. I'll pick this red rug, insert it. It goes on top. You can see it's transparent, so then I can just resize it and move it down and make it whatever makes sense for my course design. I did pick a rather dark image, but so I've got my wall, I've got my floor, and I've got my rug. I already have a major problem with scale. Clarissa's is much more beautiful. All right, so then I can start to add in my elements. So I can add a bookshelf, I can add a calendar, and all of that. She walks you through that to begin, okay? But then what I'm gonna do to take this as an interactive slide, and I'm pretty sure Clarissa shared it with me, so I'm gonna pull up hers. Cool. classroom. Pretty sure Clarissa shared this with me. Yep, here we go. Perfect. So I'm going to borrow hers. Now, do you see this loading? That was a really important thing. Copy, let me paste this into ours. All right, I'm gonna close that and show you that again. So this is on high-speed internet. I've got great Wi-Fi. I'm the only user in my house. And when I open this, watch that loading of all of the layers. See all the elements in the background, the gray outlines. It takes a minute to pull in. Okay, if I'm on a mobile phone, I've got to have the Google Slides app. Then B, I've got to wait for all those individual elements to load. So I'm going to do two things with this. I don't want to do it on Clarissa's. I'm going to take this image and I'm going to save it as a PDF, and then I'm going to save it as just an image. So Schoology for primary. I'm going to name this PDF. Now what I've done, whatever slide I'm on, that's what it's going to download. So I'm moving fast through this, but the good thing is it's being recorded. You can pause it yourself later. I'm going to click on the slide I want. I want this slide. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Download. So those of you who are note takers, when my slide is finished, File and Download. I'm going to download it once as a PDF. And I'm going to go up here. I'm going to call it Image. I'm going to go to the same slide, File, Download. I'm going to download it a second time as an image. File and Download. Now in my Schoology course, I'm going to go back into Riley's course. Oh. Okay, here we go. I'm in those updates not published, and I'm just, guys, once I build those, I actually just add on to it. So I always just click Edit. Give myself a couple spaces. I'm going to add my new content. Click on this, Okay, right away what I can do is insert that image that I just downloaded. So it'll be in my downloads, and I named it image. So here it comes. It's going to come in very large because it comes into scale. All I did was click on it to make it turn blue. I'm resizing it because I want to make it update friendly. It's a preview of what they're going to see. But for my students, if this became a routine image that I used, I'm always going to know, oh, there's my virtual classroom, and I can click it. So now I've added this image, okay? Here's what I have to do. In my folders, in my drive, I personally would probably make, I think I already did it. There we go. My virtual classroom, I made a folder called that. And then all I've got to do is click New, File Upload. So now we're on step 2. Remember, I downloaded that as a PDF. I upload it to Google and see the PDF. I'm just going to add it to my Google Drive. My virtual classroom, I will tell you this, I make my settings on my virtual classroom folder. You see this? Anyone with the link can view. That way, anything I build in there, anyone with link can view. So now I just need my link. I copy my link. Why did I go through all those steps? I'm making it easier for my users to get to. So now this picture image links us to the PDF. Insert. All right, I will just say, remembering in the beginning, visuals is the big one, but also font size, guys. Remember, we want bigger fonts for our primary learners. They might be starting to read. So there, this looks like a great update. I'm going to post it as is. And all I'm doing is copying it, save changes. Okay, now that's living in my unpublished folder. I can just go to updates. Remember, I already copied it, so now I'm just going to paste it. Now, what do I want to add here, though? Remember, I said we need to add images. We need to add descriptors. So, can't view the image. Click on the link low. I'm telling them that, hey, there's supposed to be an image here, but if you can't see it, then I'm going to go and grab that link one more time. It probably is still copied from last time, but oops. Ah, sorry. Okay, I've copied the link. Now I'm going to add the link here, paste it, link to my virtual, I like our virtual class. Batch. So now when I post this, I really love this, everybody, watch this. If Riley, my kindergarten student, is in or her parent is, this is what she sees instead of these very text-heavy updates. So she sees this and she can just click on the image and now it opens up as a menu. Now, oh, I linked it to the wrong one. My bad. I linked it to our, oh no, I didn't. Okay, it should open just to this. So in that PDF download, you only want to have the one file when you download it as a PDF. So that's totally my bad. I skipped that step. Back in my folder in my virtual classroom, I did make a PDF of just this. So let me grab that link. Lovely thing is, if you make a mistake, you can always fix it. So I'll go back here, back to my teacher account, and I'm just going to edit this. So you're aware when you edit updates, they can take a moment to load if they're very text or content rich. So I'm just going to change this link. I'm going to paste, update it, save changes. Okay, going back to Riley. And it's 12:01. I'm sorry, I'm a minute over, guys. But going back to Riley, I now get my menu that pops up. And guess what? When I click on my Epic book, it takes me straight to my Epic book. That's going to make me log in. But if I click on my calendar, it's going to take me straight to my calendar. If I click on, just different activities, there's that math one. It's going to take me straight to my quizzes. And Clarissa gets a little bit into what she added and why, but there are other trainings that you can attend to do your virtual classroom. But take a look at that. That is a much more student and parent friendly update. And so what I've done in today's agenda, to recap, we added images to our profile and our course drop-down menu to make it easy to navigate. We built content and we went by way of an unpublished folder so that we can build out visual clickable images. And then we actually took it a step up. We really leveled up here, guys, and we added the virtual classroom built in Google Slides, downloaded and converted to a PDF and an image, and linked together as a visual clickable update. Wow, we covered a lot in an hour. All right, it is 12 o'clock. And so, yes, Kimberly, I'm so excited too. I can't wait to see your virtual classrooms as you build them. You guys are so talented and the things that you produce are amazing. I can't wait to support your work and building out more friendly, visual, interactive content that takes our students to meaningful content, but engages them and makes them excited about logging in and learning with us. So that's all I have for you today. Once again, I'm Rosemary Jane. You can complete your training feedback. So I'm going to link that now. Bear with me 1 minute. Training contact hours and feedback. In all my previous trainings, when the school year was going on, I had my wonderful friend and colleague, Ashley, would take care of this for me. So I'm sorry I didn't add it sooner. For those of you who had to hop right out, it's available on my YouTube channel on the transcript. If you're still viewing on YouTube, go to the chat transcript. And actually, for that, I'm going to go ahead and present. If you are hanging out for just a minute, I'm going to show you how to navigate and get this information if you're viewing later on YouTube. So here's your training and feedback form. You can just click that link. It's going to take you to earning your contact hours and providing feedback. Once again, please remember, if you want contact hours, you do have to provide your employee ID number. If you don't need the contact hours, just skip it. What we covered today, we actually covered quite a few things. Schoology was our main focus, but we did look at some remote learning strategies. We were putting ourselves in the shoes of the parent and young student at home and making things easier for them. So I would suggest that you check both Schoology and remote learning strategies. Indicate which school you teach at. If it's multiple, you can select more than one. Today's date, if you can believe it, is June 8th. And this was an 11 a.m. session. If you're watching virtually, please indicate the actual date and time that you watch. So if you're on my YouTube channel watching this video recording, please indicate the actual date and time. What type of training was this? Well, if you're here with me now live, you joined a virtual PD session via video conference. If you're watching this later on my YouTube channel, you viewed a recorded virtual PD session. All right, this was a 1-hour training, so you can select the first option. And my name is Rosemary Jane. And so you can mark that there. You'll rate today's training and give any comments or questions that you have. There are links to our virtual PD schedule, so you can see what's coming up next. If you need to get into, we just did Schoology for primary. I'm going to view this in a present mode. We just did Schoology for primary. And coming up today, if you want to learn more about Clever, Ashley Badgett will be taking you through Clever Basics. Tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, I'll be doing Google Certified Educator Tips and Tricks. Again, it will be recorded, so if you're viewing me on YouTube, give it about a day for me to get that up. Wednesday, you can do stage 1 and 2. That's the CPS Distinguished Educator kind of focus, but looking at Google Forms with that stage 1 and 2 educator in mind. Or at 11 o'clock, you can join Ashley Badgett for Google Docs, the basics, cover some stage 1 skills for sure. At 1 p.m., Kimberly McLean is doing Schoology Basics. So if you want to learn basic navigation, if you're not necessarily looking at it from the primary audience, you could join Kimberly for that. Clever Basics, again, is repeated at 9 o'clock this coming Thursday. Kimberly's doing Google Calendar, Megan, stage 2 and 3 Pear Deck. And then I am doing a session at 2 p.m. on Thursday afternoon for YouTube, how to build playlists and create content for your students. So be sure to check out our user guides and join us for our virtual PD sessions. That's definitely all I have for now. If you go to my YouTube channel, I do encourage you, I'm going to drop a link to this, to go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Everything that I share, I organize on playlists, so I'll actually copy that. You will find this video under virtual trainings and professional development. So it's that purple cover there, virtual trainings and professional development. When you view that full playlist, everything that I have shared is in chronological order going down to the bottom. So do bear in mind that if you're viewing an older session, there could be new updated information. Always look for the most up-to-date version of it. All right, with that being said, I'm ready to sign off. Thank you for your time. Agenda coming, yes, Insuk, I'm sorry, thank you. Agenda, please. Share link. Copy link. I miss having a chat moderator. I don't usually have to do those things. Sorry about that. And then my YouTube channel playlists, I want to share those with you. So if you subscribe, you know, if you want them, you can even turn on notifications to YouTube as I add things. You can follow along. But there's my YouTube playlist. So that's all I've got for you today, folks. Have a great afternoon. It is a beautiful day.
Sorry, Rosemary.
Yes, Angela, go ahead.
Sorry, I just tried clicking on the agenda link and it was saying I had access denied. I might have done, I'll just try it again. Let's see.
Yeah, let me check. I have started closing these off to outside of domain. So if you're not logged into your CPS account.
Yeah, I am on my CPS, yes.
You are? Okay, cool. I actually need to change that from image. Let me go to my sharing settings and make sure it's shareable. Ah, sorry, change link.
No, that's
Anyone
okay.
at CPS can view. That should work now. You might need to hit refresh. Give
Thank you.
it a whirl. All right,
Thank
and then make sure you fill out your contact hours and feedback form if you want to earn your contact hours.
Thank you.
You are most welcome. Oh, by the way, everybody, I recommend you click send me a copy of my responses. That way you get a record in your email about your participation today. All right, that is all I have for you. I'm going to actually leave these last 2 slides on here because this is sort of what we looked at today. I think it helps. So, and I'll add on more PD on too. All right, that's it, guys. Have a great afternoon. Go ahead and drop yourself from the call by going to the bottom of your screen and clicking on the Leave Call button. As a best practice, I'll just remind you that anytime you are having a Google Meet with students, you need to remove those students from your meeting. So if you could just go ahead and hang up now, because I do have something else I have to hop on to.
Rosemary, can you resend those? I got kicked off, so everything disappeared.
Yep, one moment. I'll just copy and paste it all in. I don't know which part you missed, so I'm just copying everything.
That'll be great.
There, that should give you all the links. Oh, it looks like it didn't hyperlink them. Maybe it did.
Okay.
Let me know, Jason. Jason, let me know if it's there. Can you click on it?
Let me do it right now.
Okay. I'm just gonna pull up my calendar.
It did not.
Ah, what do you need, sir?
I do need the agenda basic. Yes, that's all I was looking for.
And do you need the contact hours and feedback form too?
Yeah, well, I could get. Well, yeah, that'll be fine too. Yes, yes.
The agenda is added, and
I see the agenda.
let me get you the contact hours form. I think it's this one.
Yeah, that's it. The agenda's there.
Okay, contact hours is coming. Okay, it's really contact hours and feedback, but there you go, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
You are most welcome. Always a pleasure to hear your voice and have you join in. Thanks for joining, Jason.
Same here.
All right, have a good day. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, YouTube.